Hi, welcome back to the Sillensock Homestay Gardens. This is another video about my tomatoes, and in particular about how I can build another frame for them to climb up. I've got this row of my Uncle Leo's tomatoes planted down here with a bit of a group at this end, and they're growing well, so well that they need something to climb up. I've got my teepee over there, I've got my Da Vinci bridge here, which really hasn't worked so well. The teepee's doing well, it's nice and solid, but the bridge isn't so solid. I think probably because I've used split bamboo instead of full culm. So I've harvested some pretty heavy, thick, long culms, but they might be a bit too much. So I'll just have to experiment and see what I can do. See if I can build some basic sturdy structure and then run with it from there to see what I come up with. But it really is going to be a matter of experimentation and trial and error to see how I can find a solution for this problem. The length of my bed that I've got these tomatoes planted in is about 5 meters long. And as I said, it sort of spreads out a little bit at one end. My nice long bamboo culms are plenty long enough for it. They're good sturdy culms and fairly heavy. I think I'll make a couple of tripods. I'm making use of some of this other bamboo that I've previously cut to set up some tripods to attach the long pieces of bamboo to. Using these good screws just to help secure a couple of the culms together. And then I will use twine as well to tie them so that they're securely held together. So by screwing two of them together in a bit of a makeshift manner, it's helping me to raise that third one and put it into place where I need to have it. Doing this on my own requires me to sometimes get a little bit of inventive as to how I do things so I can get the job done. So now I'll just tie this on with this lovely twine that I've got that holds really tight to itself and wraps them, and once I'm done with it, it's organic, so it'll go straight back into the soil. And then just add one or two more screws to help just hold it firm. If the culms are a little bit too thick, it only just manages to grab enough of the culm that I'm drilling into, but it still makes a difference and stops them wobbling around and helps them to be a bit more secure without using too much twine. Okay, sometimes when I'm working in the garden and this guy is just sitting there relaxing, I've got to stop and say hi, because he's such a lovely boy. This is Lamut. Hey, how you doing, Woody? Hey, handsome boy. Hey, just chilling on the grass. So now I'll bring in another one of the long culms and just measure it to size by laying it out on the ground and cutting it to length. So while I've got the saw in my hand, I'll cut some stakes, and these I'll drive into the ground at the feet of the tripod to help secure them. So when we get a bit of wind, the tripods aren't going to go sailing off into the distance. And this is the base end of the culm, so it's really thick, really solid. There's no hole in it till it gets a bit taller. So this is the best part of the bamboo culm to use for making stakes to drive into the ground because it's so solid. So I'll use the same method as I did up the top of the tripods. Once I've driven the stake into the ground, I'll add a screw to attach the stake to the tripod, and then I'll tie it with some of my twine. A couple of areas here where the legs of the tripod are in a position where I don't plant anything. It's kind of just to the edge of the garden bed, and the soil there is just too compacted and too solid, so I'm driving the steel bar into the ground to make a hole first, and then I'll drive the bamboo stake into that hole and drive it down further so it's nice and tight. And now I'll add the cross beam to the top of the tripods. Bit of a stretch up the ladder and pop it on. The tripods are about between 2 and 2.5 meters tall. So this will give me plenty of space for the tomatoes to climb and to grow and to spread as much as they like. So using the same method again, drive some screws in and then tie it and wrap it with the twine nice and securely. A nice angle of the garden here. You can see the papaya growing really well, the other vegetables down there. I've got some brassicas in. Some of them are doing better than others, and then of course more tomatoes, and got a good bunch of silver beet growing this season that I'm very happy with too. Make sure it's nice and secure. And now using this grinder tool that I've got, I'm just hollowing out some of the thicker piece of this bamboo culm so that it will make a nice notch and then fit against the stake that I've got into the ground and allow me to screw it in nice and securely. Because this end of the culm is so thick, the screw wasn't going to reach through, it wasn't going to connect. And so by grinding away this piece of the culm, it's going to actually help lock it in to the stake as well and make it even more secure. So that should be enough. Let's test it. Yep, that looks good. Just fits in there very nicely. So drive a screw in there and that'll hold it nice and securely. And this piece is a cross beam going across between two of the tripod legs, or one tripod leg and the stake that's holding this other leg. And this will help support the long piece, the 5 metre piece that I've got cut as the base for my twine to tie onto. Just attach the other end of it here, screw it on. This piece of bamboo, the upright wasn't so thick, so it doesn't need a notch in it. So I've notched my 5 metre length at this end as well, so it's just going to sit on that cross beam quite comfortably, and then I'll secure it in with more screws. So back down at the other end now, putting the other cross beam in, just checking that my long length is in the right position and is going to sit nicely there. And now I'll add another piece to form a triangle down this end, because I've got 2 rows of tomatoes up here where the bead kind of spreads out a little bit, and I wanted to maximise the space and keep this lot of tomatoes in the same area. Bit more twine to tie it all down. Drill the other end to make sure it's nice and secure. And now I'll start adding the twine for the tomatoes to climb up. There we go, that last one was a little bit far away, but that's okay. I've got my tomatoes all trimmed back and tied up, and the beds are weeded, and so now hopefully we will start to see some good fruit coming on these. They've been a bit overgrown, they've been left a little bit too long, but that's par for the course for me, the way I do my garden. I'm so busy, and it's starting to get really hot. This has taken me a bit longer than I'd anticipated. I've had to spread it out over a few days because it has just been getting too hot in the middle of the day to do any amount of outdoor gardening. But I'm happy with this. It seems nice and strong, and we have got a ton more tomato plants in here now, so hopefully they'll start to bear fruit before it really gets too hot. Well, they're bearing fruit at the moment. Some of them have got fruit on them already. Hopefully they'll keep growing and we'll get a decent crop off them before it starts to get too hot. So kind of end of February at the moment. It's probably 10 in the morning and it's comfortable just in a t-shirt out here, but come the middle of the day it's going to get pretty warm, and sure, within another month or so it is going to be really hot. So we'll just have to keep experimenting and trying. I'd love to be able to grow tomatoes all year. What are you doing there, bird? But it is a challenge, so we'll see, and I'm just prepared to sort of keep sowing them. I'm saving seeds. Every time I'm slicing up a tomato, I'm scraping up the seeds and putting them on a sheet of paper and drying them, so I'm keeping as many seeds as possible from this crop, and just with the aim of keeping on going. I am having really good success most of the time with growing these seeds and supporting and raising the seedlings. But other seeds that I'm buying for different varieties, different types of vegetables, some cabbages, some Chinese cabbage, some kale, things like that I've been trying to sprout, just getting like nothing coming up. And whereas my tomato seeds are good, and some of the seeds that I brought back with me from New Zealand with the beetroot and the silver beet, they have sprouted and been really strong little plants. But the local seeds, I am going to have to really work hard to find a better source of good seed. Often when I have sown a whole packet of seed in the same situation, the locally bought seed, I'm getting nothing at all germinating. So I can only guess it's the seed. I'll keep trying different things, but I need to see if I can find a better source of seed locally, so that I can be more confident with the success rate, the germination rate that I'll get from the seed. So as always, I'll keep trying, I'll keep experimenting, and really just keep making videos about what we're doing here at Sue and Sook Homestay Gardens. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, please leave those down below and I'll get back to you. Again, thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.